Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming. All the supportive family, friends, and friends of LMU who have come to support the 2019 graduating cohort, the 5th graduating cohort from the Masters of Arts in Yoga Studies here at Loyola Marymount University. We are very proud of them. They've been working hard all semester and for the past 2 years really, putting together their final projects. And this semester I've had the distinct pleasure and privilege of teaching their thesis seminar and working with them on their individual research projects, which we will be presenting, in case some of you haven't seen it, May 1st tonight, 7 p.m., May 6th, 7 p.m., and May 8th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So it's 5 p.m. a week from today, just to so you don't keep coming at 7 o'clock for dinner. So I don't want to take up any more time. I want to turn the mic over to these researchers who've gone from receivers of knowledge to become, this semester, producers of knowledge, as you all will in graduate school. And the first presenter tonight is Lydia Lucciola, who is doing her thesis presentation on it's titled The Metronome Effect, A Theory of Vibration, Finding Harmonic Resonance Through the Science of Yoga. Lydia, I'll turn it over to you. Who's going to show us a short video first?
When you consider personal transformation, what does it take to really change? It may mean letting go of behaviors that you've had most of your life to strive for something greater. It might mean committing to practices and beliefs that you've never considered. In what is becoming a very fast-paced world, people are having to adapt and change in many ways to manage stress, environmental changes, and even chronic health issues. This is one of the reasons we see a growing culture in mindfulness and meditation practices. People want to feel better. If you Google search how to raise your vibration, over 20 million results will come up in less than half a second. Worldwide, many are striving for higher levels of consciousness, not unlike the ancient contemplatives thousands of years ago. People need balance to find peace and harmony in their lives. I think the idea of balance is about stability and flow. When you look at conflict and resistance, it's the inability to find resolution because we get stuck in a way of being. And it's disabling. Stress-induced emotions like anger, loneliness, and anxiety can dominate our lives. When these fear-based emotions control us, they ruminate in the mind and they have a ripple effect on our families and our societies. The metronome effect is a metaphor for how we respond to life's polarities. It implies that residing in balance and centeredness is far more optimal than clinging to the dramatic swings of life events. If you look at how a traditional metronome works, the frequency of vibration is dependent on how high or low the weight sits on the pendulum. The higher the weight, the more dramatic the swing from left to right and back again. The closer the weight sits to its base, the less effort is required to come back through center and the faster the rhythm or higher the vibration. We are like the movable weight that slides up and down the metronome's pendulum. The back and forth motion represents the opposing forces of life's circumstances. We naturally pendulate back and forth between joy and trauma, excitement and fear, moving in and out of resistance and acceptance. And how we handle these dramatic swings in life depend on our ability to self-regulate and manage our emotions. When we engage in the centering practices of yoga, we become more balanced and stable. We feel healthier, we have more clarity, and we're more aligned with our true nature. These are practices that help us to discover the core of our being and moves us towards a more unifying consciousness. So then we can flip the switch on our emotions and choose happiness, compassion, and well-being. When thought patterns shift to create more complementary vibratory positions, we align with heightened states of awareness. This has a significant effect not only on our internal world, but the outside world as well. When we develop our capacities for higher function and vibration, we not only radiate more positive energy, in many ways we attract a greater abundance into our consciousness. To understand the theory behind the metronome effect, consider that we are all vibrational beings living in a vibrational universe. And if we're more aware of our vibrations and impulses, we function more optimally from a place of neutrality and contentment. This way, when the extremes of life unfold before us, our response impulse comes from a place of less effort to find the way back to center, to our innate, balanced, and harmonious state, just as the pendulum's weight sitting close to its base, grounded at its source. Our vibration raises when we ground back to our source. So have you ever felt like you just couldn't find your way back to you? Like the light at the end of the tunnel was dimming or flickering? Well, maybe it had you question, like, am I in the wrong tunnel? Or, I don't know. But I wanted to welcome you to tonight's presentations. My name is Lydia Lucciola, and I, very much like this guy, recalculates back to find my way to center. So this idea of being on center was really what attracted me to yoga, and was what inspired my thesis for the metronome effect. Because yoga invites balance, and I think that it expresses a way to a unified consciousness. I love this quote. This was from The Untethered Soul. So we presume that the practice of yoga brings strength, flexibility, and balance, both physically and emotionally. But do the centering practices of yoga raise vibration? This was the question of my thesis. In terms of the metronome, can yoga bring the weight of the pendulum back to center? So let's talk about vibration. Vibration is opposing forces that disturb an equilibrium, like when you pluck a guitar string. It creates a wave or a rhythm. Energy comes in wave patterns. Frequency is how many times the disturbance happens within a given period of time, say a second. So the rhythm of your vibration forms patterns, your patterns, just like the rhythm of the metronome's pendulum. Did you know that if you place two violins together and pluck the string of one, and they're tuned, the same string on the other violin will vibrate? This is known as sympathetic resonance. And sympathetic resonance in a human perspective is like empathy or acts of compassion. So when we're aware of our own vibration, we understand that the effect has what it has on our surrounding world, and consequently the vibration has an effect on our inner world. So in understanding that everything is vibration, then is consciousness vibratory? Consider consciousness as a field of potentiality. Vibrational wave patterns happening outside the mind. Our mind is like a relay station picking up on these vibrations that are happening outside the mind, and by quieting the mind, we are able to increase our capacity of our brain function to discern what we actually bring into our vibration. Discriminative discernment was a means of liberation in Patanjali's second chapter of the Yoga Sutras. So through stillness of meditation, we can expand our field of consciousness. This was the point of the first chapter, second verse of the Yoga Sutras from Patanjali. Yoga chitta vritta nirodha. Yoga is the cessation or control of the mind. Vritti is a special word here because it's processes or reactions or fluctuations, ruminations, disharmony, and my favorite, waves. So yoga is control of the mind waves. Basically, what Patanjali is saying is yoga is quieting the mind, because quieting the mind is the portal. The ancient traditions understood the subtle body as prana or life force, the inner energy of consciousness, the inner energy of consciousness. Transformation and higher levels of consciousness are nurtured by pranic flow. They're inhibited by energy blocks. So this subtle body system of 72,000 sub-branches of 100 branches of 101 principal nadis maps out who we are. It's a pretty intricate system. It's an intersection of energy and the physical body. Dealing with how energy and vibration manifests in the physical body has given rise to healing modalities like Reiki, acupuncture, EFT, tapping, Rolfing, T-touch therapies for horses and dogs, to name a few. And in fact, scientists are actually correlating the recent discovery of the primal vascular system, which is this web of interconnected tissue, with the meridian system. So we're starting to slowly see validation of some of these ancient systems. So if the subtle body is vibrational, can we get computable data so that we can measure the effects of yoga? So by using technology to traverse the knowledge of ancient Vedic principles, we merge equipment of the future with wisdom of the past to bring possibility to the present. Valerie Hunt, who was a neurophysiologist, a scientist, and a mystic, measured the electromagnetic fields in the human body. She was the first to discover vibrational patterns of pain, disease, emotions, and altered states. Using telemetry, she monitored vibrational patterns of, this was actually so interesting, by placing telemetric surface sensors over the chakra centers, and she would identify different vibrations of the body. Her research showed that the human energy fields display a continuum, with the lower vibrations and frequencies that are involved in life's biological processes and the higher vibrations into the mind field. And this is what's so fascinating about this is what the ancient traditions have been telling us for eons about the chakras. So biofield science is a new frontier in integral health and exploring technologies for health and healing. And a few of the key players are Thornton Streeter, who continues the work of Valerie Hunt in the biomedical field, and he's developed a biofield viewer which detects human energy fields as it correlates to the chakras. Jerry Tennant developed a complex electrical circuitry in the body that is in accordance with the meridian systems. And Anne Bernard, she's a neuropath and acupuncturist who educates people on Beamer technology, which is an electromagnetic system that aligns the body with the electromagnetic frequencies of the earth and has a very healing capacity. So there is a lot of exciting research happening. However, in my investigation, I was unable to find relevant data specifically geared toward yoga and vibration. It's evident in the research that the body holds vibratory fields and affects our health and well-being, and there's a lot of research on mindfulness and meditation thanks to Richard Davis and John Davidson and John Kabat-Zinn, with technologies like fMRI and EEGs. So yoga is experiential, and that shouldn't be undervalued by any means. Personal experience, I think, is just as important as empirical evidence. So I'd like to close with a journal that was written by one of my students in Intro to Yoga right here at LMU. And she articulates how her states shift from imbalance when she does yoga. She says, I find that this redirected focus nonchalantly aligns my mind, body, and soul, rebalancing them to work in harmony. After yoga class, I feel so much more relaxed and more at ease because of the balance it brings to my life. Yoga brings balance. It's about stepping out of imbalance and into stability, stillness, and synergy. And this is the premise of the metronome effect. So I do love this quote by Ian Witcher. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?